What is up, Earth's mightiest subscribers? It's Ernie, Blerd without fear. Welcome back to the channel. What we're here to talk about is what is going down in Uncanny X-Men number 11, and also how the X-Men are going to carry on going forward since Nate Gray pulled his own personal Thanos and snapped the X-Men out of existence. And we're going to be talking about it right now. But before we get started, it only takes 2 clicks to become one of Earth's mightiest subscribers. Click. As you may have already guessed right now, the X-Men are gone. All the X-Men who were present in the fight against Nate Gray at the end of X-Men Disassembled, they're all gone. And if you want to know more about how that happened, there's a video I put out. I'll put it in the cards or in the description. It'll be in one of those 2 places, maybe both. But anyways, what you do need to know is that Cyclops is still alive. Cyclops was resurrected sometime several weeks before the events of X-Men Extermination. Armed with that knowledge, everything else I'm about to tell you about will make a little bit more sense. But what you need to know is that in this book, Scott Summers is grieving. You gotta think about it. This man has been sitting on the shelf. He has been sitting in hiding since he was resurrected, and just the X-Men didn't know he was alive because he was told by his son, Kid Cable, not to get involved, to stay back until the time is right. And he waited just long enough that by the time he was getting ready to make his presence known to the X-Men, they're gone. And in the wake of all that, humanity has lost its damn mind. Humanity has pretty much taken the stance where they are going after any potential future mutants. They're making it mandatory for people to take the anti-mutant vaccine that we may or may not have briefly talked about in the X-Men Disassembled video, but they are making people, it is mandatory for people to take this vaccine to prevent future mutant birth. So they're effectively culling mutant kind from the face of the earth. And now Scott Summers, a man who technically is viewed as persona non grata in the world of Marvel because of the things that he's done, where he pretty much kind of lost his goddamn mind and became a mutant terrorist, more or less. I know I say I normally don't prescribe to the whole this villain was right or that villain was right, but Cyclops was right. Magneto too. But here's the thing, Cyclops has been grieving. He doesn't know what to do. The only thing he knows is how to lead, and he wants to get the band back together. But hey, the band is dead, so you can't do that. But it just so happens that a mutant who hails from the young X-Men happens to be getting accosted by humans at that exact moment. And it turns out to be the mutant Blind Spot, a character who is equal parts clairvoyant, precognitive, and retrocognitive. Basically meaning she can see the past, the present, and the future as clearly as you can see this Becky Lynch shirt that I'm wearing, which makes life a little difficult for her because she sees these things. She can see the future as clearly as she sees the present, and she sees it all happening concurrently. So sometimes it's difficult for her to tell what is the future, what is the past, and what is the present. But right now she knows that Scott Summers is going to do something that is not wise. And she doesn't tell him exactly what it is. She just tells him not to do what you're about to do. And what it turns out he's about to do is go to an anti-mutant hate rally led by a woman named Miss Prestel, a relatively new character. But the long and short of it that you need to know is that Senator Ashton Allen, who survived the events of X-Men Disassembled, well, apparently he pulled a Senator Kelly and changed his ways and decided he doesn't hate mutants anymore. And that the whole anti-mutant vaccine thing was a bad idea. Imagine that. A politician saying that an idea they had was not smart. I'm gonna give you that Pelosi clap. But anyways, during this anti-mutant hate rally, and he gets attacked by people who assume he's a mutie lover, only to find out when they accidentally knock his glasses off that he is in fact a mutant. And it just so happens Captain America is on standby, which is not a good look considering that, Captain America just recently got over the whole, fascist Nazi Hydra Captain America image. But it is interesting, I do want to point out, it's very interesting the fact that mutants thrived under Captain America's Hydra regime. I just want to point that out. Mutants actually thrived. They had their own land, they were left alone. Captain America would kind of, pull up on them every now and again, but for the most part, he treated them like they were equals. And the second that Hydra Cap got taken out of office, they started bringing in Sentinels and knocking down mutant monuments. It was almost like it never happened. I just wanted to point that out just in case anybody had forgotten. It's a bad look for Captain America though, because granted, he does say that he is there to protect both sides, and it kind of reeks of that Donald Trump Charlottesville speech where he said there's good people on both sides. Long story short, he is trying to protect not just the humans, but he's trying to protect the mutants as well, whatever mutants may be there. but unfortunately they're not meeting under better circumstances, and it ultimately leads to Scott laying down the gauntlet and telling the people, telling all the news outlets that he is going back to where it all began, and that if there are any mutants who want to ride with him, there are any mutants who want to try and set things right, to find the X-Men, to get things back on track and fight for equality for mutants, all they need to do is meet him at that location, which is where the original X-Mansion stood in Westchester. You get this glimmer of hope that X-Men who didn't heed the call when Jean Grey summoned all of the X-Men past and present to help her in the fight against Nate Grey, you get this glimmer that maybe some of them will arrive. Only mutants don't arrive at the scene. Cyclops pretty much pulls a Tony Stark from Iron Man 3. He's pretty much telling people his address, basically saying, come get me. For some of my Dragon Ball Z fans, it would probably remind you even more of the Cell games, when Cell is just sitting in the middle of the arena just waiting for folks to come run his fade. As a result of this, no mutants arrive, just his enemies. Probably 3 of the worst sets of human enemies he could have possibly hoped for. He ends up getting waylaid by the Reavers, the Sapien League, and the Purifiers all at once, and pretty much they're taking tickets to figure out who gets to have a crack at him first. Fortunately for him, a certain 5'3" hairy mutant with adamantium laced bones and claws happens to show up, and this right here is where the comic really shines for him, because you get this moment where we're seeing Cyclops, Wolverine, 2 sides of the same coin more or less. 2 characters who probably are the most diametrically opposed characters in the history of, X-Men, maybe even Marvel Comics for that matter. There were always people in different camps. There was people who loved Cyclops and there was people who loved Wolverine. And I'm not saying that you can't love one and not love the other, but I'm saying you're always gonna love one just a little bit more. It's almost as if they never lost a step. It's almost like it's the 90s again, the Jim Lee, Chris Claremont era X-Men, and they know how to work together, for the most part. When all the dust is settled and all the smoke is cleared, they don't even hardly share 2 words with each other, and all Wolverine wants to do is get down to business. Let's not talk about the stuff that happened in the past between Schism up to this point. Let's not talk about the things that drove a wedge in the X-Men that were a direct result of their contrasting ideologies. Now, as far as how Wolverine knew where Cyclops was, I mean, yeah, you could just as easily say that he saw the broadcast, but the thing is, Wolverine has been following Cyclops for a while, probably almost as recently as the end of X-Men Disassembled. And though he does have run-ins with both Kid Cable and Jamie Madrox, no one is really able to 100% convince him that he should help Cyclops, because at the end of the day, Wolverine may not remember everything, but he does remember enough to know him and Cyclops did not part ways as friends. But leave it to Blindfold, who shortly before dying, she's the one who finally convinces Wolverine that he should actually reach out and help Scott. Because even though Wolverine feels like he's not Cyclops' keeper, she does remind him that whether he realizes it or not, Cyclops was his. And even though they didn't see eye to eye together, Cyclops, more often than not, he would try to help Wolverine whenever he could. Granted, Cyclops was always in an actionable position because it wasn't like Wolverine was not always trying to push up on his boo. But anyways, that is the state of things right now. That is where things are right now. Wolverine and Cyclops getting the band back together and trying to make something happen, to try and save the X-Men, to figure out where they've gone, how to get them back, and how to get the dream of mutant rights and mutant equality back on track. As far as who the new members of this X-Men squad are going to be, some of it's been revealed, but I don't know how much of it's actually going to stick. But we do know that Havoc, Banshee, Multiple Man, Hope Summers, and supposedly some members of the New Mutants like Magic and Wolfsbane will be involved in this new X-Men squad, and they're pretty much going after X-Men villains who were involved in the X-Men Black miniseries as well as the X-Men Disassembled story arc. So I mean, we're looking at characters like Mojo, Magneto, Apocalypse, Mystique, Dark Beast, Omega Red, and last but most certainly not least, Mr. Sinister. But anyways, let me know what you thought about Uncanny X-Men number 11. Sound off in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, Hulk smash that like button. And if you want to see more awesome videos like this one, make sure you click subscribe so you can become one of Earth's mightiest subscribers and tap that bell so you know when I post up. And if you want to become one of Earth's mightiest patrons as well, swing on over by patreon.com/blerdwithoutfear. And if you chuck in a buck, you can get some exclusive content. And if you don't want to become one of Earth's mightiest patrons, that's fine too. Hey, all I ask is that you like this video and share it with your friends. And who knows, maybe they'll become some of Earth's some mightiest subscribers too. Anyways, thank you for taking the time to watch this video, and while you're here, go ahead and check out some of these other videos I got floating around here. But until next time, Plus Ultra!